Ooh, want to give people time. Come on in. So, wasn't planning on making a live for at least for a good while, at least for another week. But yeah, or another video for that matter. So, I got to do this sometimes. So I'm gonna give at least 2 minutes for people to come in on this one, and then I'm gonna start. Give people a chance to come on in, see who's coming. People probably not gonna come in. Come in yet because unsuspected. All right, we're gonna start. I want to say Shabbat Shalom if it's still Shabbat where you're at in different time zones. This is James Speed. Um, yeah, fam, just want to say shout out to all the new subscribers and those who resubscribe or do subscribe or whatever. Shout out to y'all. All praise to the Most High, and thank God for bringing us here and those His chosen units who the world calls trans or once called trans. The Bible calls eunuchs. Bless, want to say rest in peace of those who have transitioned to the other planes and of existence. Because we don't die, we just continue living in the spiritual realm, right? And for those who are still here in this 3D third dimension, and for those who are here to return. But I want to make this video about for those, who say that homosexuality didn't exist in Africa, and that homosexuality is being pushed. Trans homosexuality, LGBT plus Q agenda is being pushed on countries like Nigeria, Uganda, which is like the worst place to be if you're LGBT, right? In Africa, Uganda. That it didn't exist. Didn't exist. It being pushed. This is an African, and we have to remember that Africa is a continent. It's not a country. So when they say that something is un-African, you have to ask, well, what part of Africa is it on? Because Africa is not one united front. I don't believe it ever has been. So it's different languages, different phenotypes, uh, different customs, traditions, etc., etc., etc. Right? Food. We'll be here all day. Desert, grass, jungle. We'll be here all day. Cities, countryside. We'll be here day of diversity when it deals with Africa. All right, and what's un-African and what's not. Or what's tradition. Okay. In one part of Africa, they didn't write anything down. It was oral tradition. Timbuktu, they have more manuscripts and books than they do in all the libraries of Europe. Okay, and you won't find one illiterate person in Timbuktu, right? I think in Mali. So yeah, when people say stuff like that, that it's un-African and homosexuality and they don't go into the articles, and I mean you can find this anywhere of the countries before European colonization that never banned, still to this day has never banned homosexuality and even celebrated what you call homosexuality and even trans, right, and even intersex. So there are at least 10 countries in Africa where is homosexuality is legal, and they don't have laws against it or for it. So here we go.
Africans are a conservative people, and out of 54 countries, 34 have outlawed homosexuality. Welcome to Tunacheki, and today we present the top 10 African countries where homosexuality is legal. Remember to subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you do not miss any of our African videos. Number 10. Djibouti. This country from the Horn of Africa does not have any written laws against homosexuality, neither does it have any written laws legalizing homosexuality. Number 9. Democratic Republic of Congo. This Central African country also has no laws either supporting or criminalizing homosexuality. Number 8. Lesotho. This country, located in the south of the continent, legalized male homosexuality in 2012. Female homosexuality had always been legal before. Number 7. Guinea-Bissau. This country in the west of Africa had homosexuality legalized in 1993 and a UN declaration signed on the same. Number 6. Rwanda. This East African country legalized homosexuality and signed a UN declaration on the matter in 1980. Number 5. Equatorial Guinea. This country in Central Africa had homosexuality legalized in 1968. Number 4. Seychelles. This Indian Ocean state legalized homosexuality and signed a UN declaration on it in 2016. Seychelles also has laws banning some anti-gay discrimination. Number 3. Mozambique. This country, located in the southern part of Africa, legalized homosexuality in 2015. Mozambique also has laws that ban some anti-gay discrimination. Number 2. Cape Verde. This country in the west of the continent legalized homosexuality in 2004 and also has laws banning some anti-gay discrimination. Number 1. And the title for the most gay-friendly African country goes to South Africa. This country legalized male homosexuality in 1998 as female homosexuality was always legal. The country also allows and recognizes same-sex marriages, adoption by same-sex couples, open serving in the military by gays, bans all forms of gay discrimination, and even recognizes and allows for gender change after a medical procedure. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest African news, entertainment,
family. So as you see right there, that there's few countries in Africa that legalize homosexuality. There's other countries where there was no laws either for or against it. Okay, so for what I'm saying, you have people like, you know who, should I say names, that have platforms and they say this stuff about Africa being colonized, again, through LGBT, right? Trying to take over, trying to butt break. And when I say butt break, I think you know who I'm referring to, who love to always talk about when it comes to black people and accepting or acknowledging homosexuality, that it's always a form of rape from the white man, all right, whether it's in Africa or here in America. It's always some form of rape. But they never tell you about these 10 countries, and there's a few others in Africa that either legalized, okay, or it was never illegal or legal to begin with. there was places where there really was no name for it, just what you did. When you look at sexuality through the eyes of the ancient world, from Japan, Africa, whatever, uh, it was based on who was the penetrator, who was the giver. Greece, same thing. It really wasn't really no word like homosexuality is didn't come until I think the 1800s. It was coined by an Australian a doctor. So even the term homosexuality was just like, okay, you laid with a man, you laid with a woman. That really didn't, as far as your attraction, you, there really was no word primarily for that. You get what I'm saying? It was basically just who you laid with, like the boy lover, the girl, like who you laid with, but it was really no like, in a sense, homosexuality. You get what I'm saying? So that's a, just like monogamy is a new concept, kind of like homosexuality was, because everybody knew that sexuality was kind of more diverse because we are diverse people, just like in Africa, diverse languages and things like that. So even in sexuality, there's a spectrum. So it was basically based off of the age and who was between those two males, who was the giver, who was the receiver. That's why in Brazil, if you look at adult stuff in Brazil, you have to add things activo and passivo, right? You have words like that. So active and passive. Who is passive and who is active in the bedroom, all right? So when people say this, and somebody had left a comment under this video I just showed you dealing with the 10 countries. You can find this on Wikipedia, goes in more detail. Wikipedia, Encyclopedia, wherever kind of pedia, and there's other articles on the net that goes into the legality. I don't want to open up now, but anyway, uh, that goes into the legality and the politics and the social dynamic, and even the traditions regarding certain rituals and customs dealing with ones who are trans and ones who are gay. The gatekeepers, as it called in Africa, and the two spirited is known here in America. So we'll be here all day, all right, here all day, get into that. But there are trans men who were able to go in certain places in Africa and become a part of that tribe, get accepted because they were trans. See, they don't talk about that. And I just, this thumbnail, I'm gonna just use this thumbnail to this video that the individual used. Uh, he used the thumbnail to talk about butt breaking, right? He used his and if you saw the video, you know what I'm talking about. And he had a trans woman on his live, right? He's pretty popular in the conscious community. He had a trans woman on the live, but he went into some stuff, but he never went into where he got this thumbnail and the countries in Africa that do play like that, that do get down with the get down. All right. He didn't want to talk about it because he want people. You gotta look at these. See, and some people expect him of being atheist, not because of this, right? But even those in the conscious community who believe in that homosexuality is wrong and trans is wrong, they want to expose him for scamming and things like that, allegedly, whatever, right? But they don't want to go into using things like this where you know the truth, man, but you hide the truth. 1 minute you're saying, "Hey, we need to stand up for the brothers who was raped by Ed Buck." For those who are not familiar with Ed Buck was one of those white guys, I think politicians who had, gay black males to his room, male escorts, and he was drugging them and things like that. So I think they finally got him. I think it's maybe a year or so ago, but they were trying to sweep on the rug. So, you kind of did a good thing, brother, with that, kind of trying to bring it. But then you kind of go back to always like, well, you're saying you're not hating black gay people, but at the same time, you're not for it being pushed and et cetera, because it is from the white man originally, and it was et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Ed Buck and ones like Ed Buck is the reason why, I guess what he'll try to say, or like that, whatever, right? But you still try to say that ones are pushing something on black people here in America now, and in Africa and worldwide, and the agenda to, I guess, slow the population down, etc., etc. All these hypothetical, all these words that ones use to try to convince themselves and try to convince others to somehow look at black LGBT or people who agree or affiliated with LGBT as some sort of tool, basically. That's when, as a tool being used by the white supremacists. This is what he say, like, oh yeah, well, not all, black, gay, and trans people are the enemy, but a lot of y'all are being used by the white society for their dirty work and their agenda. And to an extent, some do perpetuate some of that stuff. Some do, all right, especially the whole GNC thing. Some do, certain ones. The feminism, some the LGBT, certain trans women do. And I'm not, for that. But to say that I guess a good amount are being used as a tool, instead of saying, what, there were places in Africa where being trans and being LGBT before it was called LGBT, before it was whatever what we know today as trans, LGBTQ, that you were highly accepted and celebrated here in the West, and they're over there in the Eastern Hemisphere, over here in the Western Hemisphere. All right, for thousands of years. So why won't you tell that? Why won't you tell about the Yandudu in northern Nigeria? You know why? Because I was on Twitter and there were young people who were frustrated at the older people of Nigeria for keeping information deeper than this, but in the northern region of Nigeria about the Yandudu. And that's YANDAUDU, if I have it right. Yandudu of Nigeria. That just many books, credible sources, great books that they had to show and prove, regardless of what their elders told them, that showed and proved that this was accepted, that this went on by other black people, recorded by other black people during the 1800s, and by white colonizers who wrote about what they saw when they got there, and other black people who wrote, who also mentioned in word of mouth and also wrote down what they, accounts of what went on. So before they colonized anyone, this is what was going on, and proof of that, which give more credit, to that, standing to that, is you have other countries in Africa where it never was illegal. So you have this attitude that is wrong, it's an abomination. You don't even tell your audience that the anti-burglary laws come from the British. That's why Jamaica, the islands, Africa have these laws against and wanting to jail and prison homosexuals, trans, etc., because of the British, the same colonizers. Vice had it. Other outlets reported on it. This is where those anti-gay laws come from. It came from the colonizers. Before that, there was no law. In most African countries, there were no law. There was no law against it, or even really for it. It just was what it was. Just like monogamy, polygamy. There was really no laws against monogamy. There really was no laws against polygamy. It just was what it was. If a man had one wife, he had one wife. He had more than one. This was what it was. That's how we lived. It was part of nature. Everybody knew that. We see it in nature today. We see male animals with other male animals. We see, we got fish that change their sex. It was what it was. Plants that change their sex. And if you're changing your hormones, it changes your sex too, because sex also consists of hormones, chromosomes, and genitalia. But okay, neurobiology. All right, okay. So, but you can change, your sex. But you can definitely change gender. But that's in the video. But staying on this right here, stay with me now. Teach the people, please teach the people about the truth concerning the real story, not his story, our story concerning the rainbow, concerning before there was a thing of butt breaking, there was gatekeepers, people who had the keys and have the keys to the spiritual and physical realm. As some would say now, they would usually say in a sexual way, the best of both worlds. Outside, but in the inside is feminine, but the outside is feminine, but the inside is masculine. And then go tell them about the rituals and the ceremonies where most of the priests of those tribes would dress up in women's apparel as a way of saying, hey, you're connected with both worlds. You're in between, a mediator of between both worlds. The physical, the spiritual, the man, the woman. Red, blue, together purple. And purple is the color of the what? Trans, right? Trans flag. Purple rain, purple rain. Men and women both consist of the same hormones at different levels. A trans and intersex person is the embodiment of such a God-like energy, of such a God-like essence. All cultures knew this for years and years and years and years, right? So when they wanted to get information from the other side, as some would say, as above, so below. Some would say from you get what I'm saying. They would usually go to someone who is trans. Okay? But you don't want to, you want to keep the people divided. So instead of doing the ways of our ancestors, you always talk about the ancestors that our ancestors would do when in time of war, in time of warfare, they would seek out the individuals that you would say are you would deem to be unintelligent, right? Backwards, not worthy of such admiration, being used. You're just being used because our people really weren't like that. I don't have anything really against y'all, but you're being used. You would go to them to see what direction our people need to go in the future. Where do we need to go? Where do we go from here? Spiritually speaking, what's going to happen? The foresight, the dance of the Badash, Native American, the painting, the men who would, before wartime, they would go and try to get the attention of this trans woman, two-spirited woman, and whoever could, compete the best will be able to have relations with her. So I'm not advocating this. I'm just saying, just showing you what was going, and also will give an insight of what you do before you go to war, before you go to battle, but also so they could take that two-spirited energy along with them on the battlefield. All right. And when you talk to most men that I've talked to personally, that I knew personally, that I was friends with for the short time, who was married to trans women or dated trans women, you know, the feeling, and I'm hoping I'm not giving too much away, saying too much, but the energy that you feel a certain energy. You know what I mean? Like you feel relaxed, but you also feel energized at the same time. So it's like you feel rejuvenated, but you also feel relaxed. You feel relaxed enough to just do some feng shui, but you also feel energized enough to go to the gym. You don't feel just drained. Okay. Um. Yeah. So replenish and rejuvenate, and just a certain vibe, a certain vibration that you feel good at. For those who know. All right. Yeah. So this is man. This is deep. This is deep. I can go into the whole. The colors, the rainbow colors, the chakras from the red, God consciousness, all that, the Kundalini energy rising above, and all that, the purple and the indigo and stuff like that. As they say, the third eye, but it's really your first eye is the spiritual eye. All of that, the serpentine's energy rising up. What they call Kundalini was really the Holy Spirit, but those know about the seraphim angel and the serpent, seraphim and all. But anyway, the wings and okay, but that's another video. But the basically being born into uh the mystery, born into the esoteric knowledge, and ones are waking up to that, man. Because not every LGBT trans person is is has great insight when it comes to spiritual things, but the potential is higher and greater. And so the powers that, well, not powers to be anymore, but the powers to be at the time understood this and knew this. It's like they understood when it came to what we know as polygyny, that this was the fabric and the makeup of us as a people, right? This is how we was able to really be effective all this time. Um, and have such a strong nation and community. So if we take these things, these, as you would say, institutions, right, or these customs away from these people, they're not going to be as great and as strong and mighty as before. All right. So of course, language, the warriors, and of course, trans people was also involved in that. But trans people was also, like I say, warriors, doctors, uh, couples counselors, etc., etc. Two spirited people played a major role, in societies, right? So from lawyers, doctors, you name it. So priests, priestesses, okay, and also too, there's nothing new on the sun. Oh yeah, third gender India. Okay, so, this Geechee Dro, yeah, I like that name right there. Shout out, yeah. Oh yes, I said, and the comment had went. Okay, I see it again. Third gender India. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Get your draw. Yeah. Shalom. If it's Shabbat Shalom, late Shabbat Shalom. But the third, the Hijras of India. Okay, the Hijras of India. Most cultures have always recognized. I think Indonesia was five genders. All right, so but at least three, from my research and research of others, at least three quote unquote genders, right? Sexes or genders. So for them to just have all this knowledge, man, and to be so intelligent, but to just blatantly, overlook or not overlook, but sweep stuff like this on the rug. Take the thumbnail, take the picture, take the thumbnail of this, but then on your live, you're not telling people where you got that thumbnail and about the countries in Africa that, yeah, but the places all over the world. And when people try to say stuff like, "Oh my goodness," and some dude, I remember it was this dude. He's supposed to be a theologian, a theologian, right? Got a degree, and a man and part of the manosphere. For those who are familiar with the manosphere, black men who talk about the issues of American modern women, etc., etc. If you're familiar with Kevin Samuels, you understand what I'm talking about. But it was in the Black Manosphere Live of these guys. But one of these guys, theologian, he's supposed to know a lot about religion, right? And he actually, I think, was a professor, black guy professor at school. So, but he was saying how in Islam there was no, it was not a transgender was not recognized in any Islamic world. In the Islamic world, there's no word for it; it's not recognized. And I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, are you for real? Are you for real? There's, I said, I'm like, wow. And he said it with such conviction. That's why I said, man, it's important, people, to do your research, because if you do your research, you'll be putting professors and people like that to shame. But when he said, I said, no, I said, hold on. What about Iran? Iran gives, I think it's like number two to Thailand, where they force gay males to be trans. And in the 80s, it was almost a trans utopia until a new regime and all that came in. But I think the president at the time, if I have it right, the king of president at the time, heard a woman who was about to be put to death. She was trans. They're about to put her to death for being trans. So he decided to hear her story, right? She was on trial. And then he recognized and see that, you know what, this is a woman. She doesn't like, men because, no, she likes men because she's a woman. Even though he had a kind of more like work view of it. But how can I say, one conversation changed a nation. And so they changed the law that recognized in Iran trans. And to this day, they force it on gay males. So for those who try to say, oh, the liberals and all these other people that they're pushing, the non-religious or the whatever, are pushing this stuff on our children, on us to accept, right? Because the other religions, the main Abrahamic religions, don't recognize. Boy, I tell you, I tell you, I be like, and he's supposed to be a theologian, and he said that. And this is why people like that, when I come through, they will try to leak my comments or they will block me from the live. because I'm not playing with y'all, man. It's about the truth, man. It's about the truth. It doesn't hurt me because they know the majority of people can easily be misled. I try to push anyone who watches my live to go behind me and do your research. Don't just look at this. Go find something deeper than this and come back here and knock me over the head with knowledge. Because I want you to be greater than what I'm doing. As Yeshua would say, he said, what? Greater works you shall do. Christ, as the world called Jesus Christ, he said, he told his disciples, greater works you shall do. You haven't seen the works I've done, but you're going to do greater. So I want ones to be great. I want ones to have more knowledge than I have. And that's how I got to this point because I was listening to people who had more knowledge than me. All right. And so I'm but they want, man, whether they know it or not, they're doing the people a great disservice by saying stuff or not doing their research or saying stuff knowing the truth and keeping the 85% from the truth, right? Or the 90% now, 95% from the truth. Uh, people say about the boule, it's like this boule thing. It's just, it's other versions of boule, right? Of those who gatekeepers to keep the narrative, they keep ones from the truth so they won't be free, man. That just make it seem like they're fighting against white supremacy by fighting against black trans people. But yeah, all over the world we have there's a word for what we know today as trans or two spirited or whatever. Gay, bi, but definitely trans. And some cultures really wasn't like no word for gay or homosexual, but it definitely was a word for a third gender or people who was a gender variant. Okay, so from the Bible to the Quran to Bhagavad Gita, from Hindu, whatever, we're like Native American, whatever. They say even in the Haiti voodoo, whatever. There's you're gonna find at least one deity or one individual that were known as, oh yeah, and I always say the name. I think it's a Mehu. I think it's Mexico. I always say their name right, but yeah, Mexico. Yeah, Mexico is well. And I think that's how you. I think you spell it a certain way, but I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, Mexico, Hawaii. Oh my God, I'm like we're yeah, just everywhere, man. Egypt, ancient Egypt is a second of ancient Egypt. I think the Ash time of Ethiopia, and in northern Ethiopia they went by a certain name too for the Christians there. Because it's like 83 different groups and languages in Ethiopia. So and just about all of them have about every tribe and every nation known to man, right, has had uh, even going to the primordial civilizations or ancient civilizations to Atlantis and Lemuria. Okay, these places that's underground, water that's some people say it's coming back underground, have always recognized. Okay, always before time and time and time because of those who know God. God consists of what? The Godhead, and that consists of, as even most Bible scholars would say, that Adam was an androgyne. So, like I say, men and women both have the same hormones. Okay, so just at different levels, and even our organs. What you call it? I think homologous is come to me organs. But anyway, all this information, my mind just stay there older. But yeah, all over the world, Geechee Dro, there's a name for what we call, today's trans, right? So trans men, trans women. I had an article too a while ago, and people shared that of different the ancient scholars of antiquity that spoke of eunuchs, right, having sex, okay, with men. So for all the well, eunuchs, yeah, in the Bible, but they didn't have sex. They didn't have sex because they were eunuchs. I'm like, come on, There's more ways than have sex than okay. And there was uncastrated eunuchs and there was castrated eunuchs. Okay, natural born eunuchs, etc. So even Christ mentioned about the three types of eunuchs. In the Roman culture, there was three types of eunuchs as well. Okay, so but yeah, and a female type eunuchs and male. We'll be here all day. Okay, so yeah, I tell people, man, Okay, get your Dro. Love in the comments, love in the comments. They used to be trusted gods, women. You're right, right, right. Uh-huh. So the kings, yeah, like I say, a sign of royalty. That's why, Christ mentioned about eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. You know what I mean? So some were, born, some were made eunuchs of men, no forcibly castrated, and made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. But also in Isaiah 56 about eunuchs, but about the promise that eunuchs will have a promise, because eunuchs could not come into, or trans could not come into the congregation. I think it's Deuteronomy 23, verse 1. It couldn't come in because everything was based on, oh, the blood, having children. But at this time, Israel was so big in number and everything, and there was eunuchs who did major great things for the children of Israel, from prophet Jeremiah out the prison, from, we see the Ethiopian eunuch, not Apostle Paul, excuse me, with Philip and everything. So, but it was a promise concerning the eunuchs, be given a better name than sons and daughters. Don't call yourself a dry tree, right? Because eunuchs, being able to protect, all right, being able to protect and look after and all that. And everybody know, hey, trans women, if you want somebody to be good at on the job and hard work, whatever, trans women known for that, and trans people in general. Okay, so for ones out to hire, that's why India they hire a lot of trans women, right? Because for some reason they get the job done, man. They I don't care, police force, mayor, whatever. They get the job done. Like they good at work, like for real. So if you want people that can look after and take care of the community, trans women, trans people are good for that. But that's just a part of that as well. But also being a part of guarding the king's harem, also was trusted with the king's secrets too. You'll find that too if you do research as well. Also trusted with the king's secrets, and ones even had certain high positions almost next to the king. And then on top of that, you had ones who was kind of somewhat a part of the harem as well. All right, so King Herod, right, and other kings, and Alexander the Great. Those about Alexander the Great and his eunuch and everything, relationship they had, and Herod and stuff. So very fond of eunuchs. So, but yeah, but was seen as, you know, uh, yeah. But that's okay. So that's what we call today's trend. But all over the world, it's so much information regarding. And it's kind of like they're doing the same thing that accuse white people of doing, of hiding, our truth, so we won't know how great we are and this, that, and the other. But they're doing the same thing when it comes to your own people because they're trans. And I'll be like, well, who paying you? But then again, nobody probably has to be paying you to be deceitful, whether you know it or not, because everything must be fulfilled. All right, uh, that eunuchs will face the persecution. Okay, so this will happen. Okay, in order to gain the promise, to get the promise. And so when Yeshua used in Matthew, it was 1912, he used the example of being eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Anybody who understands that lingo, when you say the kingdom of heaven's sake, you mean, oh, okay, we're going to have to go through some stuff. All right. So, you know what I mean? So when he used eunuchs as the spearhead, the trans as the spearhead of his movement, of the mission, right? That, yeah, you're going to, but for the kingdom of heaven's sake, but also too as well, uh, being that you are born as such or are made as such, that you have such a special connection where certain things might not apply to you because of that connection with them. But it's just like with Yeshua, with Christ, of being in the order of Melchizedek, because how can you be a high priest and not be from Levi? Because Yeshua is not from Levi. Yeshua is from Judah. All right. And Hebrews going to that, which speak nothing to priesthood. So he's able to be the high priest. So, well, I'm not able to necessarily bring forth children. So how can I do this and do that and have that? I'm telling you, deep, deep, okay? Deep. Not father, mother, no beginning, end, Melchizedek, deep. Have a deep call. And also, too, uh, somebody had made a statement that saying how God had blessed those who are not able to have children at a certain time so they can do great things, right? The Bible speak of the unmarried and married woman because in Matthew, I think it's 19:12, when it mentioned about eunuchs before that, they were talking about marriage. And then Yeshua mentioned about eunuchs. Okay. So you have a lot more time to do the preach the gospel, to do this, to do that, because even trans people, trans women are known to adopt, and children and things like that. But you're able to do certain things because you're not bound by certain things. You understand? So you have more time to accomplish and do certain things. All right. So you're able to go and chase God's spiritual family. All right. That is one of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Whoever can receive it, let him or her receive it. And also, like I say, far as God being one, the Holy Spirit, Wakadesh, which is feminine, which is female. I think I've done a video going into that. There's others who have done videos going into that, which is female. If you read Proverbs, I think it's chapter 8, if I have it right, goes into that. All right, goes into the Holy Spirit, wisdom. All right, or Sophia. And so, Rahakadesh, Sophia, the Holy Spirit, was with the Father in the beginning. But as Yeshua said, me and my Father are one. All these three are one. Father, Son, Holy Spirit are one. So the oneness representing that oneness, but also representing being, going and getting God's spiritual family. Don't call you that way. Saying Isaiah 56, I think 3-5. Don't call yourself. Don't stranger. Do not, I think, reject the stranger, but also do not to the eunuchs. Do not call yourself a dry tree, right? Do not refer to yourself as that, because you have a lot of fruit to produce. A lot to produce. And just look at today. A lot of the slang come out the LGBT, a lot of fashion, out of trans, etc., etc., etc. So you have a lot to bring forth off of the world. So don't let nobody, tell you that. They said Yeshua. Oh, what they said Yeshua said, well, what good thing come out of Nazareth? You from Nazareth? You from that hood? You from that neighborhood? And you supposed to be the Messiah? Yeah, let no eunuch say I'm a dry tree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Con, yeah, bro. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let no get your drove. Yeah. Let no eunuch say I'm a dry tree. Okay? A lot that to bring forth an offer to the world. So I mean, yeah, so I done kind of to say what I want to say on this, man. If anybody want to ask, bring forth a question, I know you drove. I appreciate your comments for bringing in. Um, I could have had more people on the live, but I wasn't expecting to do a live. Maybe a couple next few days. I did a live yesterday, but this was kind of And I did a video similar to this on my channel, that I was going to the different countries that if you don't like LGBT people, you shouldn't go to. I think it was like maybe about 4 countries. I mentioned about Thailand. I think I mentioned India. I think it was like 2 more other places where I was like, trans people. I think I mentioned Iran. And there was another one, but I might have mentioned Indonesia. But Indonesia is definitely kind of used to kind of be the place to go, but their form of Islam, radical Islam, is they're attacking a lot of trans and the native ones there that was upholding uh, the 5 genders there. But pray for them out in Indonesia. But they're gonna everybody gonna see the truth, and everybody gonna have to make room for the eunuchs, okay, for the king's trusted eunuchs, okay, and guards and people who ain't gonna let you into the gate. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm trying to get in to see what's going on. Oh no, you're not gonna get in, okay? How they able to get in before me? As Christ said, many gonna say, Lord, 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 I did this in your name. I cast out demons in your name. I did this in your name. He said, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew y'all. I don't know y'all. Yeah, you ain't gonna be looking like how how you don't know? Mm, mm. Know my voice, because if you really knew me, I might have blinded you for a little bit when it came to. I'll get notification. I'm gonna blind you for a little bit when it came to but how could you not recognize, or when you got the truth, you didn't want to accept the ones that you should have been listening to, the trans woman, the trans man that had a word for you, but you didn't want to accept that word because you only saw me in a certain form of fashion. Angels can appear in different forms. Angels don't have a set gender. Angels do not have a set gender. Let me tell you this. Angels are agents of the Most High. They can come in and infiltrate and do his work. They can look like me or you or anything. They're angles of light. So they can come and look like me and you, anything. You just go in the Bible, they looking like beast women, they looking like humans, and most times they look like Israelites, all right? But they can change their form and change their appearance to do what they need to do. So they're spiritual beings, and when they manifest, they can manifest into the world however they want to. They can eat food, they can whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, be kind. Yep, there's a word say, be kind to strangers, for you could be entertaining an angel. Kind, amen. Amen. Right. Amen. You don't know. You don't know. Just like the saying, somebody had the story of how it's two stories based off of that. How there was a man that was, drowning, wealth like that, and there was about to drown. It was a big flood, and said, "No, I'm gonna wait for God to save me." And people kept trying to get him. Said, "I'm gonna wait for God." Then they drowned. Said, "Well, God, why didn't come save me?" So I sent three people with boats to save you, idiot. Like, and then there's another story where it was a man. He was going around all day looking for God. He was just kept driving around, but all he kept seeing was a prostitute. All the time he said, I'm looking for God. I can't find God. Everywhere I see, every time I go around this circle, I'm always seeing you. While I'm looking for God. And the problem was that, well, that's that's who you're talking to. That's who I am. I mean, he couldn't. Oh, I'm looking for God. Okay, I'm looking for God. You ain't okay. All right. Didn't want to hear it. Then was like, there ain't nobody else around. Well, yeah. So you never know. And then who did Yeshua hang out with? The Republicans, the prostitutes, you know what I'm saying, the drunkards, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, the outcast of society. Because I think Yeshua and John the Baptist, I think, were talked about and kind of were outcasts. There was many from like the Scene sect, to which the Scene sect were known to do kind of break the gender roles because they didn't really marry like that. Some of the Gibeonites did, but the earlier scenes really didn't. The forerunners of Yeshua Christ had the white on roles, but they also had a lot of esoteric knowledge and mystics, but they also did women's roles as far as like carrying pitchers of water. That's why Yeshua told the disciples, say, hey, go into a place you see a man carrying a pitcher of water, let you to the gate, to keep the Passover, keep the feast, right? The people overlooked that, but that was a gender bending thing. That was a shocking view because in those days, only women carried pitchers of water. In our Gentile mindset, even though we are Hebrews, in our westernized colonized, we're carrying a pitcher of water. We ain't that. No, that wasn't in the Oriental and Rome and other. Only women did that. If you go to certain places like in Africa, in Japan, things that we do here in America as men, you don't do that. Even wearing shorts. I remember the rapper Willie D. Yeah, he be on YouTube. Willie D. Y'all probably know him. He do his commentary now. But he said he went to a place with his wife. I think it was one of them I hate to say Middle Eastern country, one of them Muslim countries, and his wife. Everybody was looking at him that day. He was just walking around. I mean, he was wearing shorts. He asked his wife, said, "Everybody just kept staring at me today. Why everybody staring at me?" His wife said, "Well, you wearing shorts. That's taboo for men to wear shorts here." And what it was, only gay men wear shorts over there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us, would do stuff thinking that we're so macho and masculine based off of, our culture or lack of, or our culture and the customs that we were given here. That is not manly masculine. Hell, even in say shalom up in, okay, yeah, somebody said little known, okay, little known shalom. Shalom to you, Lila. If I'm saying your name right, Lila Nolan. Uh, what we could perceive as masculine, all right, here is not masculine in Mexico. It's not machizo, right? It's not masculine or manly in Japan or whatever like that. So, that's also gender. That is gender. It's also a social construct. Gender is expression, is social construct, and it's also your role and everything. So that's basically kind of what gender is. But yeah, so things like that. But the scenes was carrying a pitcher of water. And the pitcher of water is also what? The sign of Aquarius. The man pouring down the water. That's the sign of what? The zodiac Aquarius. Aren't we in the age of Aquarius? Right? That was Yeshua knowing that, hey, the time is going to come. That was symbolic of where we at right now. Okay? So, and he said, where we at right now is this, okay, where we at in these days and time. Okay, Geechee Dro had a comment. Do you think that it is a good idea for guys who are like us to defend our trans women more like group together? Oh yeah. I feel like it's important, but only with those brothers who respect each other's background. I tried to do that before, and I don't. You know what I'm saying? Somebody doesn't believe in the Bible, and they have a hard time dealing with God. Basically, they showing opposition. I mean, they don't have to leave, but it's like if they are leading a group and they're showing strong opposition towards your worldview, what's embedded in you is the Bible, and you're seeing that God does not condemn LGBT, actually promotes and actually especially trans, and they just want to. They have a hard time with God. Those brothers know, but make a long story short, the brothers that you see out of our own when it comes to certain principles, yeah, because uh, there's some trans attracted men out here that are not that into some stuff, okay, that are scandalous, right? That it's hard. Okay, Geechee Dro said it's hard. They could be very judgmental. Okay, so who can be very judgmental? Other trans attracted men. So you're saying chasers can be judgmental, or you saying that? Uh, I think I know what you're saying. If you're saying that those who had a more, I guess, liberal approach to things, whatever, was very judgmental against me. Ones that I thought that would, if I came through that, he would basically show a lot of support. Yeah, other men who ain't like us. Okay, so I guess you're saying non-trans attracted men can be very judgmental. Okay, other men who, okay, yeah, so other men who are not like us. Oh yeah, they could be very judgmental, but I mean, they're okay, that's wifey right there. Yeah, all right. So yeah, okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that and that's the thing, bro. Brother, they could be judgmental, but with that comes along is that people feel what they don't understand, and then you have the other. Okay, all right. Then you have the other percentage. Okay, excuse me. I'm getting out like I'm getting over. All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, that with that being said, that you have ones who are very judgmental, but you also have the other half who are judgmental but are hiding the fact that they like trans women. So you can't, always go by. So you can't always go by that. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting notifications. I'm not able to disable right now, but I did the first one. I did have to take that one. That was Friday. But yeah, just that being said, I don't really care. As long as you don't put your hands on me, we good. As long as you don't say nothing threatening against me, they could be judgmental all they want. But I do know that is a concern because as men, we want respect from other men. That's what we live off of. We live off of respect. And that's one of my videos I did where I say, why a lot of men are in the closet is due to, men, men need respect. And if we're not going to be respected, then it's like, this is, you feel me? People can lose their life when men are not, respected. All right. Respect is a big thing. Women need love, men need respect. This is why a lot of men are in the closet. So if men could feel like you could be respected or at least accepted by your peers, there would be a lot more men come out. There were more safe spaces. But yeah, things is changing, man. I feel like there's certain guys that are not as judgmental. That's probably more curious than anything, and ones who I had people, man, that was in my family that was like judgmental as hell. They're not like that anymore. They would give the look. They would be, and I tell you, man, you have guys who had their own brother never told them that they was trans attracted. Like they came out to their older brother, and then a couple years later, their brother said, "Man, I was dealing with the girls before you." He was like, "What?" And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? He's like, "What?" Like, yeah. So his own brother was dealing with, I think, a girl he was dealing with, a trans girl he was dealing with. She had a sister, and his brother, like, I'm telling you, man, like you ain't the only one. I had a trans woman tell me, like, brother, you're not the only one. This is like the time I had met my wife. So she said, "Oh, you're not alone. You're not alone." But I met other brothers in those groups and things, and a brother from my city. He was like, "Man, they're gonna treat you like, like a regular couple, man. Especially they don't really like know like that. But even people when they do know, like say my wife has friends. I mean, there's people who like who know, in my family know, like I say, and there's ones in my family I talk to about it, ones I haven't, but they know, you know what I'm saying, and like I say, they respect me. I have people that they want to shake my hand. Now they shake my hand. They saying, "Hey, whoop the woo." So it can change, and sometimes people don't tell what they got going on. But this is why it's important, man. This is why I had to do this live, because if the brothers had this information and the sisters had this information, the impact that it will make, man, for ones to be able to get things done. And it's a two-way street, because when the brothers come together, and that's a whole other video on itself. When the brothers come together, you have sometimes the sisters, trans sisters, who will sometimes be the biggest attackers of brothers saying, "I like trans women." All right, we've seen that from what's the brother name? Oh, right there from his name is right there. It's been so many. Uh, Malik Yoba, and it's been others who have came out and say, "Hey, I like trans women." But they don't get the support. The brother Jedediah, I think I said his name right, the rapper, but they don't really get that support, or they get knocked back into the closet, and it's not primarily so from the men who are not like us and ones who are not like us who say that. Sometimes it's also from those in these groups of these uh, uh, who are more liberal feminist minded, who are trans, who will say, "Oh, he's just a chaser, and I was with him back in the '90s, and he did this," and it's like, yeah, just trying to be on a smear campaign. And I faced that myself, man. I faced that from one particular, but nobody listens to her anymore. Okay, but man, she tried me because I said I believe in polygyny. She was someone I kind of looked up to in a sense, but as a kind of an auntie in it. Yeah, a lot of trauma. Yeah, yeah, Geechee Draw. I'm paying attention to you. Come a lot of trauma, man, and they take that out on us, man. Yeah, okay. I guess you said you went through it too. I understand. LOL. So that's why I say I don't like I used to, man. Just come out the closet. Come out the closet. I don't really like. I don't push dudes to come out the closet too much, because man, I've had girls say stuff to me that to my face. When I say via on this, internet on Facebook, on the live with my wife, that it's how they prefer the DL over those in the closet. And these usually from like the young girls who just out there don't know, but even some of the older ones too. But that's starting to change too. I've seen a lot more girls saying no more DLs in my DL if you're not going to be. But it's still certain ones who feel like, but it's not as many as it was. And I'm just saying, well, with all of y'all being, but anyway, that's another deal. But yeah, man. So that's why I don't like advocate for. And it was the guy that's an OG in the trans attracted men too, who also doesn't like. He used to, "Oh, come out the closet, stop being scared." He doesn't do when he saw how they did Malik Yoba, and he was also trying to make it like a big movement with Malik Yoba. He was like, "Man, if they did that Malik Yoba, because they came at him with that stuff too, man. Any little thing you did wrong, you could have had an issue with your girlfriend. Y'all could have gotten into a fight. They'll use that against you. You could have did something back in '92 that wasn't to nobody train, whatever." It's like to try to. So it's like this thing is a two-way street to keep people from coming together, man. To keep people. Uh, what's the saying in Indonesia? They say the people of the planet, the races of the planet, or the original people of the planet cannot come together. I'm paraphrasing, but I know it said the people of the planet cannot live in harmony until all five genders are able to live in harmony, right? So the earth will not know peace until all five genders, and that was an Indonesian, I think, proverb, are able to unite and come together. So that's just so much turmoil, and five is what? Power. And the nation gods on earth, they say five is power, six is equality, seven is God, but five is power. So for that power, got to unite five. You know what I'm saying? Fight the power. But anyway, fight day power, not fight the power. DL is dangerous. Okay, yeah. DL is dangerous. And for them to say that, for ones to say that, like, I'm like, well, how is the DL more manly and masculine than the trans attracted, openly trans attracted, the trans amorous? Because there's a difference between trans amorous and trans attracted. Trans attracted say, I just like trans women. You can be, just sleep around. But if you're trans amorous, you're usually looking for more than just sex, right? So Deuteronomy 28. Yeah, the curses, yeah, be spit with madness. One's like, yeah, one's about people crazy. So, yeah, you be smitten with madness. So, of the curses of not people not coming together. And that's really what it takes is our, ones of our people really come together, and that's when everybody else, the earth will be up under, our rulership and our light, until the nations. But uh, yeah, so Geechee Gullah, the Gullah, the redemption, you know what I mean? So yeah, the warriors, the Seminole, the Gullahs, so Gullah Island, and the Geechee Gullah culture is a Caribbean culture. A lot of us have that Caribbean culture. But yeah, so Deuteronomy 28, the curses, our people. So you see that ones are hard headed. They don't want to submit to the Most High. Or the white man's book and everything. You come with the white man's book, but eventually, I think that brother, over time, he said he had to get some help and his mental state and all of that. And but yeah, it could be from both sides, man, inside and out. That's why I'm like, nah, I ain't trying to push nobody to come out the closet and say like, nah, like, no, okay. So do it when you're ready. Do it because you feel like it's you need to do it because mentally you just you have to do it. It's best for you. It's best for your life. It's best. Um, yeah. But I do advocate for men who are DL, to kind of like really not deal with trans, especially if you are DL to the point where you have hangups about your own self liking what you like. Now, if you don't want other people to know, it might not be as dangerous, but either way, you could be dangerous. But if you have a hard time just accepting that, because I mean, just to tell yourself, hey, I like what I like, that can take a while, years, especially if you was taught, um, what you're doing or what you're interested in. I mean, who you're interested in and what you're doing is wrong. That it could take a while. Um, to really get that. And it took me, at least 10 years, but I didn't have the information that I needed once I get the information, it took me a while to accept it. Okay, this is what it is. I haven't gathered up my system all this time, but then I just ask God for the information. Like, hey, if you have a name for ones like this, I saw this beautiful trans woman in Walmart. And she said something to me. I said something to her. Almost like she was, she was trans, and I was just like, it was on my birthday. I was like, oh, I could have got her. I feel like I could have hollered, try to get her number. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, guy. You gotta show me. You gotta show me, like, please. And that day, that evening, he showed me. Got information. About was a clobber passage. It was a video called Clobber Passages, and the passages that were used against LGBT and how those passages are really not talking about what people think they're talking about, and going into the etymology and historical context of those passages of those verses, and from Sodom and Gomorrah to all that. I mean, going to all those verses and breaking it down, and from that point, learning about units, and it just took off. And that was a big pivotal moment in my life. Like the two big moments in my life was, excuse me, I'm talking kind of fast. The two pivotal moments in my life when it came to me just really getting close to God was me knowing that I was an Israelite. I believe in 2007, getting on my knees and thanking God that all this that we were going through wasn't in vain, and also my attraction. Why did I have it? Why was I just could? You know what I mean? It was for a reason. And I wasn't going outside the will of the Most High, because I was like, God's just been blessing me all this time with all this information, knowledge, and just with all this protection, just because of grace. That's what I took it as. Yeah, that's why I took it as. But okay, Geechee Dro, you said 7 for me. Deuteronomy 20. Oh, okay. Oh, you said 7 for me. Seven is what? But anyway, I'm just seeing your comment. Okay, 7 years. You're probably saying 7 years. I'm guessing what you mean 7 years for you. 7 years. Okay, yeah. Um, and I guess that was to either accept it or maybe to come out. But either way, hey, yeah, it's especially being from the South, being from Florida, years for being 7 years for me for being out. Okay, so I guess you say you've been out for 7 years. I guess what you mean. So me, I guess it's been about 5 years. I guess it's been about 4 to 5 years. Or maybe my wife, excuse me, I think 4 years married. So yeah, yeah, and so because I came, I think about 2017, 18, so about 5 years. It was yeah, because I came out to my family first. I had two people in my family, and from there, and one, of course, I went to because they was already living their life and living their truth, as a um, a lesbian, and we was real close and everything, family member, and I came out to them, and then it was my mother, rest in peace, and from there, but how God saved that for being able to accept it. Took a while for her to accept it, but before she, went transit. But yeah, yeah. So this it could be a lot. It could be a lot, and I think ones who kind of seeing it now that they had their time period to go through what they went through. Some of these girls then transitioned to they was in their late 20s, 30s, and they was dressing one way, one minute. So as men, as men, we had our butterfly. If we had our coming, we had it wasn't we have our own struggles with liking trans, with accepting that, and why couldn't we go through our phase and not be, so judged for it, whatever age, 30, 40, whatever, after you had children, didn't have children, and you have people who, have children and they're in their 60s and oh, I'm a woman, they transition. It's like, why can't, we have our, um, you know, our metamorphosis, you know what I'm saying? So it's just that, like I said, hurt people, and I mentioned that too before. That hurt people can hurt people, and that's where it's coming from. But the protection and things that's going on with the girls, I say, sometimes people kind of can mess up things for themselves if they don't run the help away. The men who was like, hey, I'm thinking about just saying, hey, F it. I want the trans woman. I want a trans wife. I want to be married. I want to just, speak out for trans, even if they want a trans wife or not. I just really feel like I need to because I feel like they are unique. They are special. The story needs to be told from Stonewall to I mean, uh, but not getting that support because, certain people still want that validation from those that are not, for those who ones are deemed to be, the stable or the mentally or the righteous ones, and that's the ones who are not in support of how you live, Um, so that's kind of going to be for certain groups who are marginalized that sometimes they would do a lot, harm themselves and harm the yeah, just like you be in an abusive relationship like black people with white people. We have ones who will fight their own people to be next to Stephen. I mean, excuse me, Calvin. Oh my God, Stephen will fight Django. will do everything to Django so he could be next to Calvin. And you have certain ones that would do anything to stay in prison because prison is more familiar and comfortable than being free. The plantation is more comfortable than being free. So, having a cis person who can't stand you, but I guess able to tolerate you is better than someone who is cis and saying, hey, I like you. Matter of fact, I probably love you. I want to fight for you. That's, it's more it's more better to get, tolerated than celebrated. And anybody know if you really truly love yourself, it's better to go where you celebrate it and not where you tolerate it. But so yeah, man. This thing can get deep. So that's kind of yeah it, and I can go by another 5 minutes, spend another 5 minutes because I got to really get get some things going out the way. So I'm gonna give another 5 minutes. If y'all got any questions, nothing no too personal, nothing like too different. Yeah, just a question or something just to add on. You want to say um, doing this and the Sabbath about to be um, over with on my time where I'm at my time zone. And it's 5 or 51 where I'm at, Florida. Tallahassee, Florida. So yeah. So yeah. Just know that, man. Times are changing, man. Everything is everything. What is meant to be will be. After winter must come spring. We with age of Aquarius right now. All right, yeah, shalom to you. You know what I'm saying? So shalom. Shabbat shalom to you. Have a good Sabbath and in French, au revoir, sayonara, what else? What else? I'm gonna still get another 4, 5. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath to you. What's okay? You Alanali. I'm saying having a hard time saying your name right now. Alan Alanali. Okay, Alanaya. Alanaya. I think I said it wrong. Okay. All the y'all's at the end. So, and that sound familiar for the word of woman, of y'all, or lady y'all like that. From my Hebrew is kind of right now kind of off. I was studying real hard. Okay, so Alenya. Okay, all right, yeah, Alenya, crazy, yeah. So so Darabah, Bahashim, Yahawashai. I used to, man, the words that is coming up right now. Like I say, when you the only one that could, I never was fluent in Hebrew, but I was pretty good. When you got the only person that can kind of really speak a little bit more Hebrew, you kind of lose it. Just like with French. Et parlez-vous français and parle français and j'attends, j'attends, speed and arrivar, je all that like allez-moi and merci. Well, so I know a little, comme ci, comme ça, comment allez-vous, um, s'il vous plaît, so enchanté, all that kind of stuff. And me, oui, merci beaucoup. So bon appetit, all that kind of like, yeah. So, uh, je vous en café. So yeah. And my mother was fluent in French. My mother spoke 4 languages, so I get that from. Or probably Creole, I don't do the Creole. My wife, she came with more Haitian, so she know a little more Creole than me. So I get her with the French. She be trying to say bonjour, bonjour. I was like, does is merci, and I know Creole said messy. I think in Creole. So I'm learning a little bit more Creole. I just know a little bit of Sapasi, Naboule, things like that. Avoir, merci. I used to know a little bit of what's it, bomba guy, certain words like that. How I'm doing good. I knew a couple of words in Creole, but Haitian Creole and more French based Creole. But I'm more like Jamaican patois. You could say I'm fluent in Jamaican patois. I'll be here all night in that. So, uh, but Creole Haitian Creole kind of take me a while to kind of get used to the wording because it's other stuff mixed in there, African and also Spanish, etc., etc. I think mixed in Asian Creole and stuff, but they're all part of the native tongue. Like Creole is an ancient language too. A lot of people think it's just some from the slave master, but that's another video in itself. But on to that, this is, James Speed, man. Y'all can check me on YouTube. Also, I got a couple of videos on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook for a while. You can reach out to me there as James P, aka nobody. And this is out. I'm out. Shabbat shalom. Give all praise to the Most High for this message and guiding me, and hopefully y'all was edified. And thank y'all for watching and tuning in and being with me. And y'all be good. I'm out. One love. Bless it. Look more. You don't know.